Hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining the SubPod Investor webinar. My name is Robin Holt and I'm here from Virtual, and I'm so excited to be going through this investor webinar today and really just we want to get as much value out of this session for you. So just to really explain today's structure, we've got a presentation from the SubPod team. So they're going to be running through the mission, the traction in this incredible business, how they built it up, and really what the future looks like, and that's where you can come in. Then we're going to be using the rest of the session to answer all of your questions. So please use the Q&A function to add as many questions as you like into there, and we'll be picking them up at the very end of the presentation. So I guess I'll hand over to the SubPod team to introduce themselves.
Welcome everybody. It's great to have you here with us, and we're excited to be able to share more about the business. My name is Sadi Allen. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO here. And we have Chloe Allen here as well, who's our Chief Operating Officer and my twin sister. And joining us as well is Phil Johnson, who's our Head of Product and also co-founder here at SubPod. So we're excited to share everything with you as we go through our presentation today. A little bit about my background. I've been involved in marketing and impact for most of my career, and have done everything from being a young activist through to helping to launch Flowhive, which is one of Australia's biggest crowdfunding successes, where I built the marketing team. And that's where I met Phil, who came along and helped us in the early days. Phil's one of the most experienced product entrepreneurs I've had the pleasure of meeting, and I'm privileged to call him one of my closest friends and mentors as well. Phil joined us in the early days here at SubPod after finishing up helping Koala Mattress get started. So he's brought a wealth of experience to our team. And Chloe has some excellent form as an entrepreneur as well. It's really good for us being twins. We kind of mind meld, and she manages to she calls herself my enforcer. Chloe started and co-founded and scaled a manufacturing business called Aurora Suspended Fires to over $1 million in revenue before she exited that business. So I'm really fortunate to have a great team here. And we're going to run through a presentation right now with you and share a bit about the SubPod story, our traction and growth, and where we're headed next. And thank you for joining. I'll start the presentation now.
That's so great to know. I actually have to admit, I did not realize that not only were you a twin, well, you two are both twins, being a twin myself, but also the Flowhive campaign was a massive success. That was before I was in Australia myself. So amazing to know that. Yeah, delighted to be going through this presentation with you.
Yeah, thank you. The presentation should be up on the screen now. Can you see that, Robin?
It looks perfect.
Great. Well, to kick it off, I think the real story here with what we're trying to do is we're growing a global community of people who are inspired to take action to divert waste and turn it into a resource. That's been the driving motivation for the team as we've grown, and really our mission is to make composting and connection to nature a part of everyday life, because we feel like personal sustainability practices are a gateway behavior into sustainability. Not everyone can afford to drive a Tesla or put a bunch of solar panels on their roof if they can afford to own a house. But everyone, no matter if they own or rent, can compost. And whether we think about it much or not, in our everyday lives, soil and soil health is fundamental to all life on Earth, and composting is a really accessible and powerful way for us to really take action and understand and educate ourselves about principles of recycling and the circular economy, and create soil diversity right where we live. So we kind of see ourselves in some way. I flippantly call us the PR arm of the soil health movement, because we get to go out every day. Not everyone can go and start a regenerative farm or do those large scale practices, but by doing this in your own home, you're able to turn waste into a resource and build up biodiversity by growing plants in your local area. So it's a really exciting and rewarding practice. And I think the traction that we've seen has really shown that the timing is right for nature-based practices that really speak to people. So we're growing a global brand here with sustainability at its core. Every time we make a sale of a subpod, that's a positive action happening in the world with people diverting waste. So composting really does matter. When food scraps break down in landfill, nothing good happens. It creates methane emissions, which have a 20 up to 20 times more heating effect in our atmosphere than CO2. So by actually diverting your food waste from landfill, you're doing something great for the planet. And some people talk about, well, what if I just put my food waste in my green bin and council takes it away? And yeah, that's a fair enough option. But really, when we talk to councils, we start to hear the challenges of funding those activities, because what we're doing is moving what is essentially up to 80% water in food waste through cities. There's problems with that in terms of the transport, degradation of our facilities, like our public facilities like roads, and the cost of funding that. So composting your food waste at home really is a tangible action you can take every day that will divert your waste. It will sequester more carbon in the soil, grow soil biodiversity. And by growing this global movement, we can really have a tangible impact together. So that's why we talk about a global composting community. And with our current community of over 52,000 people, we really are seeing some impressive stats. So we've done modelling around an average of 7.19 kilos of food waste being diverted from landfill every week for the average household using our system, which sees an annual impact of CO2 offset equivalent to over 3,000 cars off the road. It's 14,500 tonnes of CO2 equivalents avoided by our community, over 2,500 tonnes of nutrient-rich compost that are kind of produced by our community every year, and over 2,000 garbage truckloads of food waste that's not moving through our cities. And we've also do a bunch of other impact programs as well. One of them has been a tree planting program that we've been running via a platform called Ecology, and our community has planted over 51,000 trees in the last 12 months. So there really is some great impact happening here. And I'll let Chloe talk a little bit about the philosophy of what we do and what we teach our community to do, really, in values.
Oh, well, you really nailed most of it, so I won't go on too much to repeat too much of that. But really, so yes, divert waste, rebuild soil, grow food, grow community. What does that mean? Really, the way I like to think of it is composting. It's, the gateway drug into a whole bunch of other fabulous sustainability actions that people can take in their everyday life. And we really try to make it so easy for people to avoid the catastrophic effects of failed composting and failed herb growing, etc. And so when they do that, we find they connect with nature. Suddenly they want to brag about it. They grow amazing food almost by accident. We call it like the volunteer gardening effect. expect, like the things that will just spring up accidentally. We have a problem here. We have to get people to come and pick our garden beds constantly because there's so much food. And then we find that people want to talk about that, right? They want to brag. And so we grow this community almost organically. We have over 9 million people in our social media ambassador reach, because it's the oldest hobby since time immemorial. People want to grow the biggest pumpkin and go to the fair and talk about that huge pumpkin. And that's really been our secret sauce to drive our audience up and our customer acquisition costs down, because everyone wants to talk about what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of you might not be familiar with our products and what differentiates us from other composters out in the market. And Phil's really been instrumental in taking SubPod from a prototype to where it is today. But the idea behind the design is that we use soil to insulate the system, and worms live in the SubPod, and they can move in and out of the soil and into the SubPod. So it makes composting easy because it's much more forgiving. The soil is an insulator. We think nature's done a great job, 3.8 billion years of R&D on how to turn organic waste into a resource. So if you think of a SubPod operating like a forest floor, you've got the worms and microbes that process the waste are able to live in an ideal environment. If you put something within the system that the worms don't like, they'll go and wait outside while the microbes process it and then come and feast on the microbes. So it really is quite a passive system in terms of you get that nutrient going out into your garden and causing your plants to flourish. So it's a wonderful system, and Phil's really taken it to the next level for us. So we started the journey back in 2017 with the original core group, building everything by hand. And then in late 2018, Phil came along to help us really take what we'd prototyped in local community around Byron Bay, in businesses and homes, to the next level. We knew that we needed something that we could flat pack, that could be shipped around the world. And with Phil's huge experience in product design and business, he really came in and helped us take that vision forward into reality. So I might let him talk a little bit about the journey with SubPod from his perspective.
Sure, thanks, Sadi. Look, I was, to be honest with you, a little bit reluctant when Sadi asked me to come down and see what they were doing. And I think the thing that grabbed me most was the passion around what has kind of become a mission and a really great cause. And I think something that we all know needs to happen. But I think what was most exciting for me was Sadi's commitment in education, in building community. And so with that, I sort of felt comfortable that, okay, if I can deliver a fantastic product that can flat pack, that can be successfully shipped around the world with a lot of strong support, we can make sure our customers have a high success level. And I think that was the biggest thing that I witnessed in the early stages of understanding composting, was the failure rate. When it does happen, it's kind of catastrophic, and it's really a turnoff. And I think if we're going to make composting a part of everyday life, and we're going to teach people around the world how to do it, we really needed a way to deploy that. So the vision has always been around being very customer centric, about understanding the importance of being, I guess, really committed to the whole journey. So when we looked at materials, we looked at ways that we could make this happen. We've given ourselves some pretty audacious goals to achieve, but with the community's help, with a lot of interaction and understanding, we've been able to quickly react to the customer's needs. And being, I think, in quite an agile company and being so close to our customers, it gives us that feedback immediately. So the first challenge was getting the classic working properly and understanding all the things that it would be exposed to. And with our customers' help, we quickly understood some of our shortcomings and rapidly fixed those. we came out with SubPod Mini and used a lot of our new concepts in that design to prove it. And since then, we've gone back and re-engineered Classic so that it can have some of the benefits of the things we've learned on Mini. So this has all been done collectively through our Grow Hub community feedback. Our customers are really supportive of what we're doing because I think in general, they see that we're not just about selling them a product. We're really about getting them on board to be a part of a really terrific mission. And when they see the enthusiasm and our genuine commitment, I think they sort of get on board, which is just fantastic because the feedback is just so vital to us making sure our product is top notch and is always going to be, leading. So and the other thing that I think has been really important for me to be a part of this is that I've never been in a position within SubPod where I had to question a few cents here or there in a product design, because for us, it's always about making sure that our products are best in class and that we can deliver a really, I guess you'd say, compelling result or quality level to the product. So I guess for me as a product designer, I feel like I'm doing my life's work and my best work at this stage of my career. And it's quite encouraging to be a part of a team at SubPod that it's all about making sure the customer is happy and the customer is successful. So as a designer, it gives me a lot of leeway to just choose really great materials. I had a lot of fun designing some of our soft goods and things because I could use all organic fabrics. I could use FSC certified timber. I could use vegetable tanned leather. Everything was just top notch. And it's a real pleasure when you get given that opportunity as a designer to just really not compromise. And it's been an exciting journey so far, and I'm extremely fired up and looking forward to our future. We've got a lot of products out so far. The feedback has been sensational. There's a lot in the pipeline that we still haven't released that we're ready to, particularly in and around supporting the mod bed. That product was really, I was really passionate about that because I saw so many people in our community group asking for a product that could be done on a balcony or in a small space. So that presented a lot of new challenges, which were exciting. I have a person on my team who is an architect that helps me in and around and understand all things architectural. So I hope you'll see some of the design influences in and around ModBed have really, tried to capture a design aesthetic that would be extremely pleasing in a personal space and in an area that isn't generally a garden space. And particularly the work that the ModBed does, we kind of camouflage the fact that there's a whole little colony of worms in there working and breaking down food waste, but it presents as a really beautiful sort of talking piece in someone's home. And during COVID and some of these times, it was just so nice to see people finding a lot of, peace of mind and, just getting out and gardening and, using our products in a way that gave them some satisfaction and I guess helps with your mental health and everything. I think it's a fantastic pastime. So anyhow, enough of me rambling on. I'll let you keep going, Sadi.
Well, definitely not rambling, mate. You can the mod beds behind us here. They're on wheels. These ones are planted out with house plants. So one of these in particular lives inside here. So they're pretty versatile, and yeah, we're just stoked at the level of design thinking that Phil and Ma and the entire product team that comes along with Phil in our supply chain are able to provide us. So I just wanted to share some of our highlights to date. So if we look at accumulated revenue to the end of September, we're at $16.4 million from when we first launched in 2019. As you can see, we started out small with R&D and crowdfunding, and really we've grown the business with a small amount of angel investment in the beginning, and then out of cash flow and inventory finance and some R&D grants to really get to where we are today. So we've been incredibly capital efficient, which has meant that the business has grown respectably. And I like to think about it as we've grown roots really, and we're ready now to really start to see some of the more explosive growth as we move forward. So the last financial year that just ended was our first full year in stock. So we saw $6 million in revenue in that financial year. And everyone would be aware of the issues, supply chain issues and logistics issues over COVID, I believe. And we managed to grow significantly that year while seeing an increase in our contribution margin of 36%. We saw our operational expenses decrease 16% and our operational profit increased 214% year on year. So I'm the first to say I'm a first-time CEO, but I'm doing my best to learn every day, and the operational efficiency, getting my head across the finances and how to really grow sustainably and profitably has been incredibly rewarding. Coming from a product marketing and community building background, I feel like I now have this extra piece of the puzzle to really drive things forward. I've learned so much, and as hard as the COVID period was, it really forced us to dig deep as a team. And we now have this model that is working really well. And the work that Phil has driven with expanding our product range means we now are seeing repeat order rates of 30% with our customers. We've been prototyping, as we said, Grow Hub on a white label community platform, but we've managed to bring on 20,000 users onto that platform since we started, and we've got over 122,000 followers on social media. We're profitable on first purchase, and really try and keep that cost of acquisition, our marketing cost, at below that 20-21% range, which is really excellent, I'm told, for an early stage business. So we're trying to grow profit and grow impact at the same time. I'll let Chloe talk a little bit now about what's been happening for us this year and where we're going.
Okay, yeah, I'm aware of time, so I won't go on for too long. So you've covered a bit of it already, but yeah, we've just moved into this amazing new space, Grow Hub, in the Byron Bay hinterland. We're excited to get the band back together after going our separate ways during lockdown. And we've got this suite of new products that Phil touched on, some of which are in production now, hoping to have them on the shelf for Christmas. That's all of the accessories for the mod bed, the grow light, the trellis, and the greenhouse. But we really see, as Phil alluded to, the mod bed as the Trojan horse, like this, that gets in on scale into high density living, into apartments, into places we haven't been able to access before, where you can be a renter. And we're building out the suite of the IoT system for app integrated gardening, because it really is critical for us as a company that people are successful and have massive success. And we make that really easy by taking people's digital good intentions out of their pocket and putting it onto an app where they can actually have incredible success and measure their success in a tangible way, whether they be a consumer or a corporate or a municipal body.
Great, thanks, Chloe. So just a bit about our growth model and the philosophy about how we're growing. We really do see ourselves in the early stages where we are now as that lifestyle impact brand. So we've really grown through the use of social media, digital and performance marketing. So seeding attention by working with influencers, creating excellent content, and backing it up with all of the support, which means we're able to grow that community and get people really inspired, so they become advocates for us. And that's why we're able to grow as a brand from a regional area in Australia to the point where, in fact, over 75% of our sales are out of the US market. We've got a global 3PL network with warehousing in Australia, the US, the UK, and warehouses we can turn on in a very short amount of time all over the world. And the secret of keeping the Success going as our Grow Hub platform, where we're really providing that support through free courses, webinars, and increasingly we're going to be working on creating some premium products in there. And we've got some exciting things coming up for 2023, 2024, where we're looking to move into national retail, especially in the US, where there's a lot of interest. We're in the final stages of review with Target for launch in 2024 nationally in the US, and currently onboarding into their vendor system right now. And we'll have discussions in early next year with Walmart as well. So over there is a huge movement at the moment behind sustainability, and the fact that we're able to bring in the type of influencers that you see here, like everyone from UFC champions to Good Morning America presenters to, you know, local brands in our area like Spell and the Gypsy. So Phil's done a lot of work in the past with lifestyle brands, and he might want to mention a few things here too.
Yeah, well, look, I think the nice thing about composting is, like Chloe mentioned, it does sort of kickstart your journey. I think the cause and the understanding of doing something great for the planet really does motivate people to change their habits and what have you. And for us, it's really about connecting with different segments of popular culture and really sharing everyone's journey going forward around your commitment to, you know, ecology and things like that. So for us, it's been really fun to see the enthusiasm and the support that we've had from, you know, like Sadi said, all different people everywhere. My background has been in action sports and you know, surfing and a lot of lifestyle brands and things like that. So for me, it was always great to go back to some of those contacts. And you know, like our relationship with Jack Johnson is fantastic because he is just so passionate about you know, what he's doing, you know, in and around ecology, and he's been really instrumental in getting the surfing community and a lot of the folks in Hawaii. And you know, one of my colleagues at SubPod, Catherine, makes regular visits to Hawaii. So that was nice to connect them and they could spend some time together. And now we're supporting Jack's foundation in Hawaii. So we're looking forward to doing a lot more of that and really sort of turn that on. We have some exciting young surfers that are really, really passionate about what we're doing. And I think that's the great thing. I mean, the cause sort of gets people's attention, but once we show them how to grow food and the knock-on effect that soil fertility has, and giving everyone obviously an instant green thumb, it really makes it easy. And you know, there's people out there with some great stories to share, and we're trying to bring a lot of things together for people in and around health and well-being, particularly around areas of you know, healthy food and you know, nutrition and things like that. So we got a lot of great influencers joining us now, and we're hopeful that coming forward, that will really equate to some really dynamic content and really sort of getting the right people out there, helping us spread the word and teach people about what they can do in and around composting.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, and the future for SubPod is really bright. I mean, the lifestyle brand really drives other segments as well. So we've been fortunate to have a lot of organic inbound inquiry. From the beginning, Phil designed SubPod so it's modular and scalable. So we can actually scale our systems to be used in large installations too, with a lot of food waste. So we've got pilot projects with commercial headquarters, the likes of the Unilever Hive in the Netherlands, who are using our systems. We've had pilot programs funded by local government in Queensland, where we're used as a waste offset for an entire island there. And schools are power users. So we have schools with up to 40 SubPods per site. And we really haven't had the resources within the team to start a proactive sales force yet. So this is all coming inbound. We do our best with our resources, like free curriculum with schools that have helped us to attract those inbound sales. And there's a lot of interest from the likes of municipal, commercial and school organizations in having a premium app that provides licensed education and also digital services to assist them with the management. So there's a lot of great opportunities within the market as we grow and move forward. And the market is huge. It is one of the biggest markets in the world in terms of personal hobbies. The gardening market in 2020 was valued at over $104 billion US. Gardening is the #1 hobby in our key core markets now, which are the US, Australia, and the UK. And we have demand well beyond those markets at the moment that the investment that we're raising now will help us to reach. So right now we're in the middle of building our EU website so we can start selling into the EU for the coming spring season there. And really SubPod's time is now. There is a global movement around decarbonisation, around rethinking our waste systems, around the circular economy. So whether we're thinking about Australia, the US, Europe, China, all of the political system is behind reducing waste and creating resource out of waste. And we'd love for you to join us in moving forward and helping to create this healthy future while we grow a profitable impact business. And we'd love to open it up to questions now. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That was great. Really, really insightful and learning so much about the business. And I can see that there's already some questions in the Q&A function here. So please do add to them. You can upvote them if you really want us to answer them. But yeah, we'll absolutely kick off and go through these questions. Thanks very much for yours. At the top of the list, Melinda. Wow, FlowHive, fantastic credentials. Just wondering how many councils in Australia are customers of SubPod?
So currently, we work with customers. As I mentioned, we're still a small team, so our sales capacity is limited in terms of direct sales, but we've partnered with Compost Revolution, who are the largest rebating platform for composting systems. So across Australia, approximately 60% of council areas are served by Compost Revolution, and you can purchase our products rebated through that system. As we grow, we'll form deeper partnerships with councils in Australia and abroad.
Yeah, fantastic. And hi SubPod team, thanks for your time. How much CO2 does it take to produce a SubPod? Is it based from recycled plastic?
Sure. So Phil might be the best one to talk to about the materials. This is one stat. I don't have the actual kilos of CO2, but we have a PhD scientist on team, a PhD in biology, who's done the modelling, and the carbon payback period is 1 month of using SubPod pays back the carbon emissions of its production and shipping.
Yeah.
And early on, our ambition was always to use recycled plastics, and we've been fortunate enough, because of our cause and because of what SubPod stands for, we've been able to enlist the help of one of the largest plastic manufacturers in the world. They've really taken on board what we're doing and our ambition to use recycled plastics. So we will have an announcement soon. We are going to be transitioning to a high level of recycled plastics, and we're very pleased to say that we're having tremendous results, no shortcomings in quality whatsoever. And that puts us in a really terrific position. We promised everyone early on that we would do our best to get there, and I am quite pleased to know that that will be a reality for us soon.
I believe Chloe's just bringing a prototype.
This is the first time it's been seen by the public. This is the 60% recycled plastic.
In a new color that we're experimenting with too, called agave.
Yeah. So one of the things that's really important when you're thinking about plastics is not just is it recycled, it's also about the life cycle of plastics. And so it was really important for us to make sure that we weren't just greenwashing with a story about 100% recycled plastic and then end up with a product that might break down in a year or two. So Phil's done an amazing job working with our plastic supplier to ensure that the first version of SubPod is incredibly durable, using virgin to benchmark. This is a long-lived product. We use polypropylene, which can be recycled many times over. It is one of the easiest, simplest plastic compounds to recycle. So there's more complexity in the plastic supply chain than just use 100% recycled. You've got to think about the entire life cycle, and that's what we've done here.
So our grow bag, which is for renters and like pop-up instant garden, and that is 100% recycled.
Yeah, that's made out of recycled bottles.
Yeah.
Awesome. And just moving down, we've got a question. Hello from a customer and potential investor. What's the investment return horizon? Can you say anything about the end game IPO acquisition? I'm really glad to see this question come up early because it very frequently comes up in investor webinars. And I always just want to preface it by saying that when a private company is raising funds, they're generally raising funds to use to grow the business. So it's not necessarily the case that there's going to be a short-term sort of exit strategy for the business itself. It's really important that you understand that the exit strategy for an early stage startup it could be any of the following, but not limited to an IPO, a trade sale, a share buyback, or dividends, effectively. I can let the SubPod team talk a little bit more about their end game, but generally you want to think about investing into a private company as a longer term investment for funds that you don't need to access in the short term.
Yeah, thanks for that really succinct description there. And that's really how we're thinking about where we are at the moment. We're focused on growing value right now, and we've been fortunate enough to attract some great advisors. As I mentioned, Phil, this is not his first rodeo. He's been involved in a number of businesses that have had successful exits. We also have on our board advisor, Trent Bagnall, is one of the most experienced physical product entrepreneurs and accelerator owners in Australia. He's been involved in 120 businesses and helped move from early stage through to acquisition or listing. One of his the businesses he helped start in the last few years is Camplify, where he's now the chairman. Camplify is now an ASX listed company, and we're just making sure that we surround ourselves with the right people so that we can be set up for success, whether that looks like an IPO and listing, or it looks like a sale further down the line. We've had a lot of interest in for people acquiring the business early on at this stage, but there's so much value and we're having so much fun that that's not an option for us now. And we're going to create a lot more value before we exit this business and a lot more positive impact.
Great answer. Fantastic. And I'm going to jump down to it just because you mentioned it, because you have a question here about if you have any advisors, and if so, who are they?
Sure. Well, yeah, as I mentioned, having Phil in our corner has been invaluable, and he's really helped us to make the right steps to get to where we are. And we've been able to attract some other great advisors as well. I mentioned Trent Bagnall, who we have a formal contract as a board advisor, and he's really been great in helping us to think about the future of the business. And there's other advisors as well that I've been talking to over the years as well. Most recently, Justin Hilberg, who's an incredibly experienced entrepreneur and CEO, who took on the turnaround of the Surf Stitch Group and successfully took that to an exit, which was an acquisition into a private roll-up. And we're a lot of other entrepreneurs in this area as well. We're fortunate to have quite a few people in this area who have moved up here and are available to speak to and get advice from, which is great.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good to hear. And do you see educating children who then go on to educate the family vital in the challenge of encouraging composting, sort of grassroots as if it were from schools and kindergarten? Do you have a program planned or an action? Thanks, I have SubPod and I purchased it through my local council. Thanks very much, Belinda.
Yeah, we do. I'm an ex-high school teacher way back before I got involved in crazy startups. And to me, when Sadi first told me about SubPod when he was just getting into it, I just thought, I used to work in curriculum design with the Department of Education and just thought, that's great, it's perfect. You just have one sale, you just sell it to the department and that's it. Like you roll it out, it can be a program for schools, it's compulsory in schools. Schools all have to spend money on food waste and most of their worm farm and composting solutions are catastrophic and a pain in the butt. So for me, the schools has been a really easy no-brainer. However, the direct-to-consumer side of the business has taken off to such a degree that we haven't had a lot of time to focus on the schools. It's been happening organically, and we have partnered with, what are they called in the UK?
In the US, Kids Gardening.
Kids Gardening, and created a curriculum document that is compliant with the outcomes needed for the US, because that's our biggest market. We're working now to adjust that for the Australian curriculum. But yeah, certainly it is. So we haven't cracked the code yet just because we haven't tried in terms of getting it in as a curriculum item with the Department of Education. But when it comes to schools, yeah, you get a school, 40 SubPods at a school, and then all of those kids are learning about it, loving it, they go home. And we're just in the process at the moment, actually running the stats on how many of those kids go out and filter it into the community and end up with them at, in their own homes. So we'll be able to report back on what that stat is soon. Yeah.
Fantastic. And a question here from Ruth: how exposed is the supply chain to tensions in China? Are there alternatives to manufacture in places other than China?
Yeah, so just a little bit of background on why we are in China at this stage is that I've had longstanding relationships with some really great, sourcing. I've had an office there for a really long time doing a lot of different types of products. But in the early stage of our business, we needed to be able to centralize our manufacturing because our volume really wasn't significant. There's a substantial cost that goes into the tooling for a product like SubPod. And we needed to try to choose a location that would allow us to fulfill global fulfillment, to get our DCs and things filled quickly and cost effectively. But our ambition is always to look at doing what we can to reduce our carbon footprint. And so consequently, as the volume goes up, I'm already in talks and looking at other areas where we'll start manufacturing our product. Keeping it all in one place is just able for me to, look after things, a little bit easier with less. I don't have a big team. So I'm trying to centralize. I've leveraged a very passionate support team. I have engineering and supply chain management, a longstanding relationship, and actually a shareholder in SubPod that is helping us on the ground. So we are fortunate to have a very well-baked team. As a startup, we have an exceptional, support mechanism based. We have a full-on office doing testing and all sorts of things around materials and engineering support. So, I pretty much took my life's work of learning how to build products in different countries, took a team that was skilled and actually got them really passionate about composting and completely understanding the product from top to bottom. And now that has become a tremendous asset to our team. And as we grow, those particular people will help us grow in other countries. Their expertise are part of what makes SubPod, I think, extremely stable. Our experience in logistics and supply chain was very beneficial through COVID. And I felt like it gave us a real edge because of longstanding relationships that we've had. We needed to ask for some favors from time to time to get things produced in time. And so we had extra shifts and things. So I think although we're a startup, we have a very well-baked team support mechanism in and around supply chain and logistics.
Yeah, awesome. Great answer. And I know you covered this on the presentation itself. Perhaps you can answer it in a slightly different way. You've had a question here about how the money raised will be used, but perhaps if you kind of break down your order of priorities in terms of the money raised, because of course in this CSF raise, you're going to have a minimum and a maximum target. So it would be great to just understand the list of priorities and what you're going to use the money for first.
Sure. So really, the money is going to be used to grow our capacity to reach these new opportunities. So there's some key hires that we need. I've alluded to some sales expertise, also growing our capacity in the marketing team, because that is such a big part of our business. So marketing, e-commerce, and then having the money to really fulfill, like to grow our inventory, to be able to move into markets like the EU and have the marketing dollars to launch credibly in there. We have a pretty well-baked and repeatable system now where we've seen we're able to enter a market and reach a scale that becomes profitable for us in a few months, but we do need to be able to enter with a bit of a marketing bang. So really it's product cost, product development, and people. The Grow Hub platform is another focus for us, and getting on top of version 2. Phil's done a huge amount of work on the physical hardware side of that, right down to wiring diagrams and costing out bills of material. We acquired a little house plant management app very cheaply earlier this year, and that code base is really suitable for us to transition a lot of what we want to do with Grow Hub into the future. So we're doing what we can to really be efficient with where we spend our money and deploy it where we know we're going to get return on investment.
Yeah, fantastic. And there's just a couple of questions here around, are you still looking to raise 500 to 900K? Somebody said here, how long would this be expected to last? I know that you're kind of just at the very end of the expression of interest campaign, still finalizing a minimum and maximum targets, but yeah, I'll hand over to you to answer this one.
Yeah, sure. Look, we're having some great response in the final days of our expression of interest campaign, and we're going to see where we land in terms of what our minimum and maximum will be in the coming days. Full transparency, and this will be in our offer document. In this financial year, we're looking to raise up to $5 million in total to ensure we have enough runway to really focus on growth rather than being focused on fundraising. So that $5 million will really allow us to build that growth engine for the business and fund a lot of the opportunities that are there before us now.
Yeah, fantastic. And Jane here has asked, perhaps I missed this, but do you have plans to offer anything to keep the classic warmer for cold climates?
Absolutely. We are working right now on a little greenhouse for the grow bed that supports the classic, and that will certainly help. And we have a few other ideas as well. We've been getting a lot of great feedback from our customers in colder climates. So we're looking at a number of ways that we can help them to keep their worms safe and healthy during the frozen times. But the greenhouse will go a long way. We're trying to do something really cost effective and simple. And we're hoping to have that launched early in the new year.
Yeah, fantastic. And will you make a system to collect plastics from individual homes? I saw a different company doing this kind of service to pick up plastic.
Look, we're focused on food waste at the moment. It's our big focus, and right now we don't have any plans in place as such for things like that. There's many other great companies out there doing things around that. If we split our focus at this stage, it probably wouldn't be a great idea.
Can I just jump in on that too, though? You know, what we do is the perfect little example of a closed loop system, right? So we're trying get cars off the road. We're trying to avoid those dump trucks moving around what's essentially water and putting it in substandard composting at councils. So yeah, so we think that we should be able to, if we do anything, it's about educating people to have less food waste to put into the thing in the first place. Yeah.
And as we mentioned, we see composting as a gateway drug to sustainability. So you can't help but start to think about reducing your other waste streams when you're getting so much joy out of composting and gardening. So really, a lot of the answer comes down to conscious buying as well. So what can we do to help our customers to be more aware of the choices they make, so there is less plastic to collect at the bottom of that current linear waste system.
Yeah, great. No, absolutely. A question here: are you hiring staff to help with your growth? You already said that you are. Will you consider shares in lieu of salary for the right staff? From a customer of 3 mod beds and chartered accountant who has Asia and UK work experience and Asian conglomerate and UK Tesco connections. So exciting, many thanks. And I wish that you'd got your name up there, but the attendee is anonymous. So
hit me up on LinkedIn. Very happy
yes,
to.
Please. It sounds definitely like you need to connect from there. So thanks very much for that. Can we watch this webinar recording later? Absolutely. We are recording the session. I will send it over to everybody who is here. Then you've got another question, a couple of questions below actually, just asking about how much the company is going to be valued at for this capital raise. Of course, this is one factor that's going to be sort of just completed in the final stages of an expression of interest campaign. I'll hand over to the SubPod team to answer this one, but it will be available in the offer document when the offer is open.
Sure. So look, in terms of valuation, look, we're really conscious that we're an early stage company and the market conditions are where they are. So what we're looking at now is a 2 times top line revenue off last financial year. So we're thinking around the 12 million mark will be our valuation. We were advised earlier this year that we could be much higher, but as we know, the market is where it is, and we want to set ourselves up for success moving forward, which means in terms of future fundraising, we don't want to see ourselves enter a down round. So we believe taking the pragmatic approach with a 2x multiple is the right approach right now for our valuation.
Yeah, absolutely. No, really sensible. Great to see the increase to recycled plastics. This was from earlier with your product. With these product improvements in development, is there a release cycle that customers can expect, say an annual basis, that potential returning customers would expect to reinterpreted products to be released?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my head around that one.
Yeah.
Look, correct me if I'm not hitting giving the straight answer here. I'm just trying to make sure I understand it. But effectively, we get feedback regularly. We're constantly reviewing our products and making adjustments, whether it's materials and things like that. We tend to, if we see a problem, some of you might remember in the early stages, we had in our first SubPod, our hinges were different than the model that we have now. We go in and we fix things and we make rolling changes. So although we do have sort of new releases, we try to have something every quarter or what have you, we sort of believe that the best thing we can do is improve product as soon as we know that there's a better way. And so we tend to not really put it on a calendar necessarily. We just try to tend to it as quickly as we can and fix it, because we're very customer centric and we want to make sure that our customers come first and that their experience with our product is exceptional. We spend a lot of time making sure instructions, packaging, everything around what we're doing really supports the ethos of the company. And so the real commitment is to the customer and to making sure that people understand our commitment is deep and it's authentic. And we're really trying to set a good example to our fellow corporate, product people to do the right thing and to put the hard work in. So if you know something's not right and it potentially could compromise the product, you just fix it and get on with it. And our customers have been really supportive. We apologize. We always try to look after our customers. So hopefully people understand why we take that approach and we don't have kind of the more traditional one of a release once a year sort of a thing. And yeah, we're fortunate enough that we have been starting to sell a fair few subpods. So we have regular production happening. And if I know I can do something to fix it, first we test it and we make sure that it's well baked and that it is a true solution, but then we implement it as soon as we can.
Levy's come back and said, spot on, thanks, Bill. So you've nailed it.
Good.
There was a second question as well from the individual, and Chloe, you mentioned app development in 23, 24. Is the idea to mimic GrowHub where it is free to join, or would this be an exclusive app for SubPod customers?
So look, we'll always have free available. It's part of our ethos. We want to make sure that as many people are getting as much high quality advice as possible. What we're looking at is that freemium model where we will have premium services and offerings that will suit certain user segments. So that's really the intention, is to value add rather than shut down what we're doing.
Yeah, awesome. Duncan here has said, I couldn't find GrowHub on Google Play. Where is the app available from, and will it be available on Google Play?
Yeah, look, so as I mentioned, GrowHub right now is a white label platform. So you've got to go actually to growhub.subpod.com to sign up. Once you do that, you can download it as an app onto your phone. We don't have the resources to launch an app to the quality that we wanted early on, which is why we've gone that white label approach. It is available as an app, as I mentioned, once you're a member, but it's a white label platform right now.
Yeah, no, it's a sensible strategy when you're trying to get something up. So that's awesome. And I love this sort of closing statement. It's not a question, it's more just such sensible and sustainable growth strategies. Bravo, great team, great systems. I'm in, so excited. So that's just a great statement to receive. Thank you so much. And really, I mean, we couldn't have timed it any more perfectly. We've come to the end and we've answered everybody's questions. And I really just wanted to say that I'm so excited that we're going to be launching the investment offer next week. Effectively on Wednesday next week, we'll be closing the EOI campaign on the Tuesday, and then the investment offer will open on Wednesday. It will open privately just to the EOI list. So if you want to receive early access, you have to be on that expression of interest list. I will send around the link to everybody if they haven't had a chance to check it out, but I would probably put money on the fact that most people here have already expressed interest to invest. And it's so great to see just some fantastic questions from everybody here. And I'll hand over to the SubPod team to say any final words.
I just want to thank everyone for joining in, and for those of you who are customers and have been with us on this journey so far. I'm just so grateful. Like, this was a crazy idea. We really had no business getting started the way we did. Like, as Phil mentioned, this is it's a big vision, and it was a huge product. Our first mold cost us over $250,000 just to get started. And it was really faith and commitment from a few early stage investors, and then thousands of people who pre-ordered SubPod via Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and our core team by and large is still all here today. And yeah, we've all grown together and overcome challenges together. So just so much love and thanks for those of you who have got us to where we are, and really looking forward to continuing the journey with new people coming along at this next phase of growth. It's really exciting and heartening.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank our customers for all the great ideas and support and faith that they put into understanding, giving us, cutting us some slack when we have made a mistake, and really giving us the volume we've needed to achieve the transition to recycled. And I have a strong commitment that we'll continue to do everything we can to educate ourselves, to be first in line, to implement materials that will reduce waste into landfill. We really are committed to continual improvements in our products. So anyhow, thank you all for your help. It makes my job a lot easier when I got great ideas coming at me through our community. So it's pretty awesome. I've never actually had something quite so interactive like this, and it's just been fantastic. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. It's just been such a good session, and I'm so excited to be launching the investment offer next week. Thank you again to everybody who's attended here today and asked such great questions. We'll see you very soon. Thank you very much. Bye.